When I first thought about having another reunion, and this is the last, by the way, somebody said to me today, we don't want any more, they'll be arriving on our Zimmer frames. When I thought about having it, I was looking for a date, and it was about a year ago when I started thinking about it. I thought, well, I'm 65 in April, so I might as well have it on my 65th birthday. It's 50 years since I arrived in Hong Kong, more or less to the day. It's 50 years exactly. So I thought I'd have it on my 65th birthday, which actually was yesterday. And I thought of the song. Happy birthday, dear Susan. Happy birthday to you. It's called since a certain episode with Bob Webster, which I thought of the song, Will You Still Feed Me, Will You Still Need Me? And I wrote a message to you all saying, will you still feed me, will you still need me when I'm 65? And as I pressed send, I realised it was 64. So that was the beginning of senility, I think, creeping in. Now, there's a very good sub-site on Facebook at the moment called Hong Kong in the 60s. So if you have a look at that, you'll see that Carl Olsen is posting a lot of photographs from the 1960s. So we're going to have 3 toasts during these speeches. I've got some messages from people, John Wellens and Nick Ellaway and various people that they want read out. But we're going to have 3 toasts. So if you've all got a glass in front of you, this is the first one. The first one is for good health in our old age. Keep taking the medication, and may we all go on for a few more years yet. So let's toast that. Cheers. Yeah. Now I'm going to read out some messages from people who can't be here. The first one is from Jane Brown, who says, hi to everyone here tonight. I'm very disappointed not to be with you all. I'm unable to attend due to another commitment. My thoughts will be with you, and I know that you'll all have a great time catching up with each other's news and reminiscing of our days in Hong Kong. I hope everyone is fit and well and continues to be so. See you all at the next reunion. Not organised. The second one is from Jane Henderson, who's living in Malta at the moment. It's one from Paul Kelly, who we call Jack Kelly. I'm sure many
I saw 3 weeks ago.
He says, perhaps you'd like to know that after Hong Kong, I lived in South Wales for 6 years and got a job in a bank which I hated. In 1970, I moved to Perth, Western Australia, and got a job with an airline, working at and eventually running airports at remote mining developments. In 1975, I moved to Perth and then was transferred to Melbourne. The airline folded in 2001, so I was forced into a very enjoyable early retirement. It's not bad. The only work I've done since is a few years at a community classical music radio station as a technical producer, and loved it. My wife Sharon and I met in a large iron ore and natural gas export centre. Please pass my email address to anyone who might be heading this way to see them. Right, this one is from Alan Doherty, who says he's got to look after the grandchildren, but he sends everybody his regards who remembers him. This is from Carl Olsen, who says he's enjoyed every reunion he's attended, but disappointed he can't make it this time. He's been over to Britain this year and he lives in Australia and he couldn't come again. Same with John Stanton, he is in Australia. His sister Margaret married Charlie Holtz from KG5, and Charlie Holtz has recently died, and she's a bit fragile, so John decided that he ought to stay with her because she's over in Australia, staying with him at the moment. Now, this is from Mr. Nick Ellaway. Profound sadness and regret, I find myself unable to attend this wonderful event. Now, well into my 60s, when I can do without sex, but not my glasses. Well, some of the time. I'm able able to reflect back on my life and the 3 happy years I spent in Hong Kong loom high in the memory banks. To not be there to catch up with so many people I hold dear from that time is frankly depressing. It's nearly 50 years to a day that I arrived at the sights, sounds and smells. Oh, how I remember the smells of Hong Kong.
Yes, absolutely.
It was a real culture shock. Water once every 4 days for 4 hours. The Ascot Hotel.
Oh, yes.
Race horses trotting beside rickshaws and trams. The Fleet Club. Typhoons, the Star Ferry, tea dances at the Bayside, the general hustle and bustle of the streets and harbour, and the school itself, St George's. I was placed in the upper 5th, where they stuck all the misfits and degenerates who couldn't fit into the A and B classes. Bob Webster and Dave. I remember Mr Lewis, the teacher with affection, Tom Cross, a close relative of Attila the Hun, and the headmistress, Miss Hudson, an even closer relative of Attila. Did anyone? Even the school day was different. Did we start at 8 AM and go home at 1:30 PM with half a day on Wednesdays? Cathay Pacific planes flying just overhead. A school excursion to Macau. Cross-country runs through the little village over the railway line. Fights with the Portos. And ice cream vendors all called John.
He doesn't mention the crab donuts later.
It was so exciting and so different, almost alien, which is probably why I've never been able to successfully share the experience of Hong Kong to anyone who hasn't been there. I have no doubt that that will not occur tonight, as the conversation will flow almost as much as the wine, as people renew their friendships, relive many precious memories, and maintain that very special kinship that has kept us together. I wish you all a very successful reunion and congratulate everyone associated with the organisation.
Oh, brilliant.
The last one is from John Wellams, which I only received this afternoon, so that's why it's still on the iPad. Kung Hei Fat Chor. Yes, I know it's not Chinese New Year, but it's the only greeting, apart from some other naughty ones, taught me by Willie, the Chinese chemistry lab assistant. I'm sure you will all be having a wonderful evening together, lots of reminiscing and greetings like, well, you don't look much different than you did 50 years ago. Never would have recognised you if I bumped into you in the street. Well, I don't know which category I fit into. Ask Bonnie. We met a few years ago. I recognised her. I wish I'd been able to join you this weekend. Would have taught myself horse or under the table with so many good friends there. Hong Kong was a wonderful place to grow up in and still holds a place in my heart. Reminiscences. Nostalgia is not like it used to be. So, a hastily put together bit of nostalgia for you. Within a short time of being at St George's, I decided I wanted to be in a music group with mates from the school. So did Jack Kelly on drums, Dick Champkins on bass, and a guitar man, John Telling. So we formed a group called ourselves the Chinchillas. We liked the Shadows stuff. We played live on commercial radio once, and I got told off for playing the piano too loud. So I think I got the sack, or left. As a bunch of mates, we had great times, John's Youth Club, parties, Saturday afternoons at the tea dances at the Rendezvous in Nathan Road, where the KG5 group played. On the dance floor, I found out that under the ultraviolet light, false teeth showed up black. And cotton fluorescent brilliant white through nylon. Girls. Life was so much fun. In my last few months at St George's, I was asked by the headmaster to prepare a spectacular demo in the chemistry lab for parents on our open day to show them Wellams what show them Wellham's what we do in the sixth form. The test run went okay, but in preparing the production line stuff for several demos, it went off, exploded prematurely due to the high humidity. Some of you may remember. Well, I ended up in the military hospital in Nathan Road with black face, hands and clothes and a few burns. The demonstration was abandoned. I was sent back to school in the afternoon, cleaned and hands all bandaged shut. Bob Webster came to my aid like a brother and helped me manage the tricky things. A lad has to do them. Thanks, Bob. And thanks, Bonnie, who was my girlfriend in those last few weeks. Not embarrassed to be seen out with a helpless, no, not really, bandaged up guy.
I had to get his first money out of his tight weight.
That was my job.
So raise your glasses to a toast. Here's to your wonderful reunion tonight, and here's to the next one when I hope I can get there to be there in person. Have a great time. John, piano fingers, no one has. So, I think I want to raise a toast to those friends who couldn't make it today, but I also want to raise a toast on a more serious note to those that are not here, because we've actually lost them forever. I think I'm particularly thinking of Dennis Doubleday, who played such an iconic part really in many people's lives in Hong Kong, and was just a thoroughly good bloke. So, to Dennis and other absent friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right, I'll be brief here, but I also have a few memories of those days, just a few of mine. I actually kept a diary, so you all could be blackmailed in the future, because I think nearly every one of you is mentioned at some point in it. I've chosen just 9 brief ones. When I first went to Hong Kong, I hadn't been north of Windsor. Which, if you live in the south, you don't really need to go to. I came from Kent and we flew out to Hong Kong. We flew on an RAF Britannia, a prop aircraft, facing backwards. And Mr. and Mrs. Chatterton sat behind us, little knowing that I would bump into him in the corridor a few days later. I didn't realise that he was a teacher, going to teach us St George's. One of my other early memories is with Motty, although she was joined at the hip with me and Julie at the time. But listening to the Searchers play needles and pins on the jukebox in what I thought was called the Hasty Tasty, but she tells me it's called the
Waltzing Matilda.
Tasty then. A bit later on, going to the Dateline Club, which we thought was really cool. It was built like an aeroplane. It was just the best thing. Like many of you, I had moved from a youth club in a village hall in Kent to the Eagle's Nest at the Hilton in 1 week. It was transformed. Now, my very first day going to school, travelled over on the army bus, then got the ferry over to Star Ferry. And as I got on the army bus with Colin and Motty, because they were going to Repulse Bay to drop them off at Royden Court, and I was going on to Stanley. Actually, I was staying in Repulse Bay Hotel. So one of the girls, Dawn Lynham, her name was, she asked me if I wanted a popsy.
Yes.
I looked at her and thought, right. I said, no, thank you. She came back with a lolly, which I would have killed. Learning of her. Another memory is how hot it was in geography. Because we're French. Oh, it was so hot in that classroom. I just can't believe it. Going to the airport to see Mr. Smithermanoff is another very, very important. That's a terrible occasion. I think Colin was there. We got into trouble for it afterwards, but that trouble paled into insignificance compared to the trouble I got into when my mum found a rude poem in my pocket about a vicar which Bob Webster had written.
At least you had a sense.
I asked Carol Nuttall today, where were you when President Kennedy was announced? He'd been assassinated, everybody's supposed to remember. And she said, on a hockey pitch in Boundary Road in Hong Kong, and I was with Sandra playing Windsor, and I remember it to this day as well. So one of my memories. Learning to drive amazingly large vehicles by a chap who taught us, a chap called Vic. YMCA. I do hope he thanked him because you know, he taught me to drive all sorts of vehicles.
Motorbikes,
Did you? It was wonderful. I don't think he ever said thank you to the chap, but anyway. And lastly, leaving Hong Kong. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of other memories, obviously, but leaving Hong Kong, being given a pearl necklace from my friends, and I've got the card that you signed. It was ever so formal. Dave Parker signed it, D. Parker. Also, everyone signed it ever so formally. He gave me this pearl necklace, which I don't wear, but I still have it. It was one of the worst days of my life, which just shows you what a charmed life I've had. The streamer broke, and I sailed off into adult life, really, I suppose. It certainly was very special. I think we all feel that about our days in Hong Kong. I think we've been lifted out of our own comfort zone and taken to somewhere else, and it was a very special time. So my last toast, please, is to the 60s, Hong Kong, and those very special days.
Yeah.
And you've done such a wonderful job in organising.